Hello and welcome to Simmo's Garage. Today we review this 2016 Mustang. Join me for the review of this car. It's a great car. I've had a lot of fun driving it. I must be honest, this is my car. I have had it for 4 years, but it's just a great car. It's so much fun to drive. So come on, let's review it. Let's have a look at it and see where we go with this. Enjoy Simmo's Garage. Now, talking about styling of this car, I think it's gorgeous. I think Ford have done a really good job here. The black wheels I'm not a great fan of on many cars, but I think they look really good on this car and I think they really suit. You can see the 5 litre badge. This one is a 5 litre V8. Plenty of power from that. We'll talk about that later. But I think the styling here they've done is very good. These lines very much pick up the traditional trends of the Mustang. And this window here, I really like how they've done that, because in the previous model there was a small little rear window there with a bit of metal down here. I didn't think it really looked that good. I thought it looked silly. So this car, just the styling fits really, really well. So here at the rear of the car, again, they've done really, really well. This black strip just blends in beautifully across the rear here with the GT badge. The tail lights, they match very similar to the original 64 Mustang. I'll show you on the inside where they've kind of picked up a few design cues. They've really worked well. I had these white stripes put on, and to be honest, I thought it looked a little plain before, but with the white stripes, it really just lifts it that little bit. My private plates, I enjoy them too. Bit of a joke, Mustango is actually the horse that the Mustang was named after, and Mustango is actually the spelling or the name of the horse that, as I say, the car was named after back in the 60s. Well, the horse was imported to the US, I don't know, in 1800 something. But really, really nice here. Camera just here, great view out of the camera, really good there. The GT badge, as I say. Now down here, right down here, that's where your reverse light is. Now, a lot of people had a bit of a go at this and said, look, no, what's that? You don't see it down there. You might not see it particularly well, but it's really quite a race-inspired thing. I think it looks really cool. If you look at all the F1 cars, they have their warning light down there. It's not a brake light or a reverse light, but a warning light, you know, for bad weather conditions. Just under here, there's a little popper to pop the boot. Good sized boot, plenty of room in there. I could get in there, so you could kidnap at least one person. Really nicely laid out. It's not the lowest of floors here to get in, and it's not the biggest of openings, but it's not a family wagon. It's a sports car, so it doesn't really matter. It's got plenty of room to throw a couple of bags for the weekend. Nicely carpeted. That's all you need to know about that. Now, talking about the gauges, and you probably can't see from where you are, but I'll show you a shot in a minute of them. The gauges are very light and bright, but here's a couple of odd things. On the tachometer, Ford thought they needed to write revolutions per minute. RPM wasn't enough, so they added in revolutions per minute. And then on the speedometer, instead of just writing speed or something like that, they actually wrote ground speed. I don't know what they were on about there, but ground speed sounds a lot cooler than just speed. Talking the interior of the Ford, it's as you would expect. It has sync auto, which is okay. It wasn't exciting when it came out, and it's not fantastic. It gives you the ability to turn your your climate control on and off from here, as well as the buttons down here. You've got your stereo controls here, as well as the buttons across here. It doesn't really do that much, to be honest. It's just an aircon control, and Ford, you did okay, but not great here. Down here you've got your mode controls, which controls between the standard mode, sports mode and race mode. Race mode turns off all of the traction control, which you can also turn off here. Hazards here and steering control here, you can change it from sport to normal to comfort. Again, they make a big difference, but are they super? No, they're kind of standard affair on a car like this. I give you an okay here, Ford. Nothing great. It's cool, but not really cool. Now, the glove box of the Mustang is fairly regular. It opens like this, but the actual manual doesn't even fit in the section it's designed for. Ford, no good on that one. The petrol cap of the Ford Mustang, it's got a little indicator on the dash showing you which side of the car the petrol tank is on. That's kind of neat. Many cars don't do that, and I think they should. It's pretty simple. But the actual petrol cap, there's no release for it. You look around everywhere, there's no release. You just press on it, and it opens. Very neat. Well done, Ford.
it would be wrong for us not to talk wheels and tyres with this car. They're 19-inch and they look good. I like the black against the red, and I think in most colours the black rims really suit the car. Originally they have Pirelli P0 tyres on them, and to be honest, Ford, what were you thinking? They're hopeless. Now I know what you're going to say, oh but they're Pirelli P0s, they're the holy grail of tyres. Well, no they're not. Actually, they're hopeless. Now those thinking that, oh but all Pirelli P0s are the same, they're not. You can buy a Pirelli P0 in a number of different categories. And the ones that go on Ferraris and Lamborghinis, they're not the ones that were on here. This car, in the slightest bit of rain, you would just go sliding everywhere. Now all those Ford Mustangs that, apparently were so unsafe that they, 2-star crash rating, we'll get to that in a minute. The reason wasn't the car. The car was fine. The tyres were useless. They were hopeless. What's another word? They were crap. I've changed these ones over from the Pirelli P0s to a brand called Far Road. They are, excuse the pun, far, far better. They are miles better than any tyre that was on this car originally. The front still have Pirelli P0s, but they're going to be changed over very soon, ready for our winter season. Ford, Pirelli P0s, they were hopeless. Luckily, Ford has moved away from them, and the new ones of these you get Pilot Sport tyres instead. I hope they're much better. They couldn't be any worse.
Okay, so driving the Mustang, it's a great drive. It's a very smooth car. As I said before, everything falls to hand really neatly, so it's not one of those cars that you go hunting around for things. I'm just hunting for my sunglasses now, but it's not a car that you go hunting for things. Everything just is neatly where you need it. The gauges are very clear, which American cars in the past have not had a good reputation of being nice places to be. But this one is really good. This one is fantastic. So we're going to take a quick drive here, see where we go. I've got to do a bit more filming and show you the engine. And I want to talk about the front panels. That's something really interesting. But we're just waiting for a bus here to pull out, so we might be a little bit of time. But what can I tell you about while we're here? Well, of course, you already know it's a 5-litre V8. They don't come in any other variant. Well, they actually do. They come in a 4-cylinder 2.3-litre EcoBoost. Why would you bother? I mean, you don't buy a Mustang to buy a 4-cylinder. It is a muscle car, and in reality, if you're not going to buy the muscle car with the muscle motor, then what are you doing? Well, why are you buying it? Poser value, maybe. So 5-litre V8, 6-speed manual. Again, why would you buy the automatic? I mean, the newer model has an 8-speed automatic. This model would have come with a 6-speed automatic, but regardless how many speeds it's got, you want the manual. The manual is the way to go. It's much more responsive. It's a driver's car. Now, of course, they're all rear-wheel drive. You can't change that, not that you want to. But they're a great driving car. They really are. Now, we're going to pull over here in a minute, and I'll see you in a bit, and we'll be showing you the front end of the car. I forgot to film that earlier. Catch you in a bit. Okay, so let's talk about this car in terms of their crash rating. Now, when the car came out in 2016, ANCAP reviewed it, and they came out with a 2-star crash rating. And journalists the world over wrote how unsafe the car was and how dangerous it was, and it shouldn't be on the road, and all of this rubbish. Now, let's break it down a little bit more. ANCAP goes up to 5 stars, and a 5-star car is meant to be a very, very safe car, both for the people inside and for people around. Now, taking that into account, 2 of the reasons that the Ford Mustang lost 2 stars, first of all, it was for no driver assistance. Now, what does that mean? Well, you know the little lights that come up in the mirrors here that tell you that there's someone next to you, you shouldn't change lanes? Well, the Mustang doesn't have any of that. Now, I don't see that as an issue, because that's why you've got mirrors, to use them to have a look. There's not great big blind spots in this car, so it's not a difficult car to see where your other cars are around you. So to me, that's minor, but I get it, that's how ANCAP is rated. It lost a star there. The second thing that ANCAP knocked a star off for is the rear seat passengers. Now, the rear seats are tiny. I'm 5'10", 5'11", I wouldn't be able to fit in the back comfortably for any more than a short trip down to the shops.
And if I did get in the back, the person in the front would need the seat all the way forward to actually be able to, for me to have some room to put my feet. So in reality, if you're my size and you try and get in the back here, you're going to have your knees up on your chest, you're going to have your head kicked over at a 45 degrees just to fit in there. There's no airbags or anything like that back there, so ANCAP knocked off a star. To be honest, if you're buying this car for the rear seats, you're buying it for the wrong reason. Don't buy the car. Similarly with the driver avoidance ones. Another one that it doesn't have is slow speed collision avoidance. So that's the one where someone walks out in front of you and you don't see it, it'll jump on the brakes for you below 10 or 15 kilometers an hour or something like that. Well, in reality, if you're not looking out the front, you don't see what you're running into, well, I'm sorry, you've only got yourself to blame. So those couple of things knocked off 2 stars. So the car would really be a 4-star ANCAP safety rating if those 2 weren't in play. Okay, so driving the Mustang, what's it like? Well, it's really a cabin to be in because everything falls to hand really neatly. Everything's within easy reach, and it's very logically laid out. To say it's logically laid out kind of suggests that it's boring. Well, it is in a way because everything's just where you think it would be. There's not a reach to anything, which is great in any car, and that's the way it should be in any car. But this kind of inspires you on. You feel like you're part of the legend. You feel like you're part of that history and part of that long-running kind of Mustang ideology. What does it stand for? Well, I mean, of course, it's the muscle car thing. Of course, the V8 motors, the horsepower race, and all of that sort of thing. Of course, it's part of that. But the funny thing is, as you trace through the Mustang and the Camaro as well, and other muscle cars of America, as you trace through the history of them, you actually find out that at some points in time, they really did only have like 100 horsepower, 130 horsepower, like 100 kilowatts. Your mum's Corolla at the moment does better than that, that was in the dark period of the 70s and 80s, but the whole historic muscle car idea is not always as true as what you think it is. But in the early days, it certainly was, and in these days now, it certainly is. I mean, this car's 306 kilowatts or something like that, and I'm not sure how many newton meter it is, but plenty is the answer. It's never wanting for power, and that's just in the standard mode. If you put it into sports mode or race mode, then it bumps up those the access to the kilowatts, I guess. It's always the same amount of kilowatts, but it bumps up the access to it, certainly. We're going to come up here and make a right, and then that'll take us down to one of the freeways. So we'll get on the freeway and see how she goes. Hopefully I'll make this set of lights here. Yeah, there we go. We're good for that. So there's just so much accessible power on this car, and that's the thing. It makes it a fun drive. It really does. Now I've got a head-up display in here. It's not part of the car. The car doesn't come with a head-up display, but I was curious as to how close the speedo was. I'm doing right on 60 on the speedo, and it's reading 60 exactly on the head-up display, which is working from GPS. So I'm pretty accurate speedo on this one, which is good. Sometimes that cars are 3 or 4, maybe even 5 kilometers out, but this one's really good. This one's really accurate. So we'll come up here and we'll make a left on the freeway, and we'll see how we go there. Hopefully we get a green light. I think we will. Yeah, we do. Alright. I got one car in front of me, but we'll see if we can't get around them on the way down. Oh, look, I could have made that, but it's probably the smarter move not to. I am a responsible driver and all. All of these test drives happen within the speed limit. Don't worry, Mum. Now, this is the first time that I've been filming in the car while I've been driving, and it's interesting. I've got a GoPro strapped onto the roof. You've probably already seen some footage from that. So I'm kind of a bit cautious that it actually stays there. It's a GoPro Hero 5, so if it was to go and be disintegrated, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but of course,
you know, that's not my preference there. Because it is a 6-speed car, this one, at 100 k's we're doing 1600 RPM. You know, we really are not doing many RPM on this particular one. We'll get off the freeway here. This is, what are we on? Reed Highway, this one is. And we'll go across the bridge and we'll get on the freeway the other side and head on back. Perth freeways are great. And at the moment, because coronavirus is around, the freeways and everywhere is pretty quiet. I mean, this being my car, I'm not even going against anything that we're not meant to do in this coronavirus time. So that's great. Look, I'll leave you here. I'll pick you up on the other side of the freeway once these traffic lights have changed for me. Okay, look, we've got a green light here, so we're good to go. Now let's just see where we go here. Let's get across here. Now this is 40k an hour around here. I'm just doing 41 or 42. You know, it's the Mustang corner's very flat and smooth. Very flat and smooth. I could give it a little bit more, but we're pretty good at the moment, and I've got a couple of cars up ahead anyway, so we're not going to go too far here. But oh gee, we've got a bit of a bank up here. What's going on? Okay, so we're on the freeway now. This is kind of Perth peak hour traffic. It's not really that bad. It's actually quite good at the moment. But we're just passing by, what's that one? That's Beach Road we're passing on by. And then we'll get off at the next one, and we'll see where we go from there. But lovely car, really comfy to drive. I could drive this all day, and well, I do. It's my car, so it's a very easy car to drive. I'd like to be able to show you a little bit more and show you a few of the ponies that it's got, but conditions aren't really allowing it. So look, I'm going to leave this one here and say, if you can afford yourself a Ford Mustang, if you can afford yourself one of these, and this particular car, being a 2016, would probably sell for around 40 grand. You get your 5-litre V8, 300 kilowatts, 6-speed manual, beautiful car, all the bells and whistles that you want. For 40 grand, I really think you'd struggle to get any better value for money of that age of car. You know, you can buy something with more power that's older and maybe falling apart or whatever, but the Ford Mustang, for all of its flaws that people talk about, and there are a few, for all of its flaws, and the fact that, you know, it is a Mustang and they're pretty popular now, and there's many of them out there, so you're not exactly buying a Ferrari, or you're not buying something where you know, no one else has got one. So, you know, taking that into account, for 40 grand or approximately so, the amount that you get for this car is just fantastic. So if you've got 40 grand and you're looking for a car, and you don't need to carry 5 people all the time, or tow a trailer or anything rubbishy like that, then I really tell you to buy one of these Ford Mustangs. I've had a blast in it for the last 4 years, and I don't plan on selling it anytime soon. And so, that's the first episode of Simmo's Garage. I hope you enjoyed the review of the 2016 Mustang. I've enjoyed driving it for the last 4 years. It's been an absolute hoot. If you've got a car that you'd like me to review, please contact me, simmos_garage@ionet.net.au. My idea with this YouTube channel of Simmo's Garage is for me to be able to review a whole range of cars. Now, my preference is going to be sports cars and cars like this, but I'd like to review anything that's weird, interesting, unique, or something that no one's seen before. Let's get it out there, let's review it, let's get it up on YouTube. So if you've got a car that you'd like me to review, please contact me. Hopefully you've enjoyed this first episode. If you haven't, please leave me a comment below. If you have, please also leave me a comment below. Till next time, from Simmo's Garage, catch you later.